and get started. So I want to say welcome, everybody, and thanks for joining the webinar today. My name is Bill Hilton, and I'm one of the founders of NuVerge. Today, we are presenting an introduction to NuVerge and Nextworld. However, before I get started, I have a little housekeeping item. If you have any questions during the presentation, please go ahead and type them in the chat window on your right-hand side. We're hoping we have some time at the end to go ahead and address those questions. And at this point, without further ado, let me go ahead and turn it over to Mark Ellie. Mark is the Managing Director of NuVerge ANZ, Australia, New Zealand region. Mark?
Yeah, appreciate the time that you're giving us to go through this today. We also thank you for joining us, taking some time out of your morning, your afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Just in terms of getting started, this is an introduction around NuVerge and Nextworld, and really providing some information about who we are as organisations and what we've been up to with Nextworld and the product set. Starting with the safe harbour statement, usual stuff. We've got some forward-looking items within this presentation today, so we're very much looking to show you some of the future and where we're heading with this solution. So just wanted you to be aware of that, and obviously those things, safe harbour, not for contract purposes. So just stepping on through, we're got quite a bit of agenda to go through. We're trying to keep it to 45 minutes for you so that we have some time for Q&A at the end. So starting off with Nextworld and NuVerge introductions, a bit about the company and where we've come from. Nextworld differentiation and value, what's Nextworld been doing with the product and the platform. Then some TCO conversation around, total cost of ownership and return on investment. We'll then look at the platform benefits. I'll hand over to Jeff, who's going to step into the industry solutions specifically that we're building out on the platform. And then we'll take a quick look at the NuVerge promise and then the Exeter case study and wrap up at the end. So just getting started into the intros then. So Nextworld got started around 2015, so late 2015, 2016, and basically was set up by Ed McVaney and the founders listed there on the slide, basically as an answer to what could we do with all this new technology is available if we started with a blank sheet of paper and build an enterprise ERP based on these latest technologies. What sort of benefits could we bring to the customers? And so a conversation then happened between Ed McVaney and Mark Godey, one of our founders, and that really resulted late 2017 in NuVerge being established as a partner reseller for the Nextworld solution set. And so Mark Godey and Bill Hilton kicked that off for NuVerge as well. So just quickly introducing the exec team for Nextworld. Kylie McVaney is Ed's daughter, and she's the CEO and founder of Nextworld. Conrad Rogers, who's speaking with us today, he's the Chief Operating Officer over there. Axel Olgier, who's got a background with JD Edwards, came up with CNC back in the day. He's the founder and Chief Product Officer. And then we've got Vito also over there as the Chief Technology Officer. On the NuVerge side, we've got Mark Godey, who's been around JD Edwards and De Novo over the years and others. He's our CEO and founder. We've got Bill Hilton, the founder and CEO, also come from a JD Edwards De Novo background. Tim Scott's been with a number of partners, but also JD Edwards background, and he was also with Oracle Cloud ERP for a number of years there. Jeff Amorine has also spent some time inside Oracle and JD Edwards himself, and then out in the partner community in recent years, and myself also with a background in the JDE product set, and then more recently working with NuVerge. So a relationship based on trust. Basically, we were the first partner reseller for Nextworld. It's a trust that's between Ed and Mark going back decades, and really the whole way that we've gone to market together and worked together. So really, I'll skip forward and we'll keep going. So these are the speakers for today. I've just introduced Conrad. He's Chief Operating Officer. He's going to take us through the Nextworld technology and give us a little bit of an understanding of what's going on there. Bill's the moderator for today, so he's going to run the Q&A and stuff. Tim is our Senior Vice President for Services Consulting, and he'll be talking to us about the project they ran for Exeter. Jeff's going to do the industry solutions side of things and what we've been building out there, and I'll take us through some of the total cost of ownership story and Nextbot platform and the likes further on in the presentation. So just in terms of NuVerge, we're basically out there in the industry for a couple of years now. We've got a customer out there in live, a large customer, part of the Blackstone group that Tim's going to talk to you about later. Number of other customers also live now on Nextworld, and the team growing, and obviously representation across a number of countries in the world at this time. We think culture is really important. You've heard the saying, culture eats strategy for breakfast, and we believe that's true. We look at things like building an open and honest relationship with our customers. We think that's hugely important. We also, ascribe to things like we do as we say we're going to do. And I think you'll see when you see the culture statements for Nextworld 2, we're very closely aligned to the Nextworld, culture and the way we do business. We think this is different to how you're going to experience some of the other traditional ERP vendors in the marketplace. And we hope that as you do come to know us more and work with us, perhaps that you do come to an understanding of why that culture is so important and changes who we are in the marketplace and how we go about implementing, servicing, supporting ERP. So at this point, I'm going to hand over to Conrad Rogers. Again, I'll say he's the Chief Operating Officer out of Nextworld, and he's going to take us through the application and really a bit more detail around Nextworld and where it's come from. Thanks, Conrad.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. So I'm going to start by talking about what Mark just mentioned, and that is culture. So I'd like to discuss Nextworld's redefinition of ERP by speaking to what we believe is the foundation of every company's deliverables, and that is its culture. And so if you're familiar with JD Edwards and or Ed, our founder, you're probably not going to be surprised by the fact that we feel it's not enough to talk about. Culture, we have defined it, we've documented that definition, and then we communicate it to our employees, who, by the way, have to sign it as part of their job offer acceptance. We also cover it with our partners, which I think what Mark just mentioned, and by starting with culture, that's kind of reflective of how we start our relationship with each of our partners and our customers. At a high level, it's also communicated on our website. We break it into 3 sections very briefly. Ideals, such as honor God, total customer satisfaction, making a positive impact on our community, work environment, and within work environment, we stress team output over individual achievement. We see trust as the basic atomic unit that everything really grows from for teams. And so it is the basis of our teams and our relationships. We have to focus on that. Decisions need to be driven by our reverence for long-term relationships. We're not in this for a transaction. We're in this with our customers, our partners, and employees for the long term. So long-term relationships. And then no surprises. And then the third area or section of our culture is customers, and quality being our North Star and customers being the ultimate judge of quality. And what we mean by that is we do a lot of things in the development process. When I'm talking about the products, which I'm going to go over in the next few slides, we do a lot of things in terms of verification and QA testing and reports and all that kind of stuff, normal software development processes. However, if at the end of the day we release the software and our customers' impression and perception of what they're interacting with and their user experience is not positive, then what we've done, there's something wrong. We need to change. Customers are the ultimate judge of quality. And then lastly, within that, setting realistic expectations right from the very beginning. So culture is that foundation, whether a company recognizes it or not. That's my personal belief. And by being transparent, we make it possible for others to more easily hold us accountable to our culture and hold us to being who we say we are. And that's pretty important to us because preserving our culture is probably obviously really important and also a tenet of it. So with that foundation, I'm going to talk about this redefinition of ERP. And I'm going to start with what we heard in the market and what really drove the design tenets of the architecture that I'm about to describe. And so the first theme of what we heard in the market as we started to get Nextworld going, or what was the motivation for Nextworld, is first, why is all the IT budget spent on maintenance and just keeping the lights on? Why can't our IT spend help the business innovate and differentiate? Isn't that what it's supposed to be doing? And why is it that so much of the resources, 90%, 80%, whatever study you look at, is really spent on maintenance and just keeping what was working yesterday working today from an IT perspective? That was one theme. The second theme was, why is it so expensive and difficult to tweak our ERP system to reflect the way we do business? Even when I do spend the resources and effort to customize, the initial cost is just the beginning. It feels like I keep paying for that customization over and over and over again. With every patch, with every upgrade, I keep paying to maintain that customization. So customization very quickly becomes a very dirty word. Why is that? Because we need to do it. And then the third theme that we heard, and I want to mention, is just the technology itself. We have to be a tech-savvy company and leverage it to be competitive. But in order to do that, it feels like we have to become a technology company ourselves. And that's not what we wanted to do. We didn't get into the technology business. So if we wanted to be a technology company, that's what we would have started, and we didn't. And we hear that pretty loud and clear from our customers. So these were three of the design points, or the themes that drove the design points for the architecture that we created. And then when you look at the money, right, and you look at some of the studies about where IT budgets are going, it kind of just bears this out. It's kind of an 80-20 using rough numbers, where 80% of the spend is spent on maintenance and sustainability, and 20% is spent on what you really want, which is spurring innovation and helping the business and focusing on how you can make the business either more efficient or make it so that you can compete in your space more effectively. So then when you look at the Nextworld product set, why did we create it at this time? And I think to answer that question, it's really important to understand that over the past, the ERP has a long history, right? Over the past, 60 years, whatever it might be, a lot has changed. So every 10 to 15 years, there's pretty much a seismic shift in terms of the enterprise technology environment within which we're developing software. And I come from a development background. I started as an RPG programmer on J.D. Edwards World in the mid-90s. And that was a very, very good product, in my opinion. And it's not an objective opinion. But when client server started to come out in the later 90s and really come to the fore, the vendors, and J.D. Edwards did this as well, had one of two options. You can try and morph your product into this new paradigm. I don't know if any of you are familiar with World Vision, where we took our green screen application and tried to put a veneer of client server user experience on top of it. Didn't work very well. Or you can rewrite from the ground up, which is what J.D. Edwards eventually did with Everest, which became One World, which is now Enterprise One. And pretty much all of the vendors go through that and have that decision matrix. So you look at cloud, if you look at client server, as cloud started to come to the fore, same thing happened. All the server-side components got put in a data center. You created a URL addressable client, and all of a sudden you raise the flag and say, hey, we're a cloud vendor. And it worked about as well as, scraping a green screen. And that was that the products that really did well were actually built from the ground up within that wave or within that period. So you're looking at a Workday or a Salesforce or something like that, right? That was 20 years ago. I mean, you look at the design points of many of the cloud products that are at the fore during that time period, they were designed in the late 90s, early 00s, right? A lot has changed since then. And so what Nextworld has done is looked at what is the current environment and how can we build a product that addresses those themes that I talked about a couple slides ago. And that is by building a platform specifically targeting transaction-heavy ERP applications, but building it also in such a way that companies don't have to worry about what's going to happen in the next 10 years. They don't have to worry about what are the technology changes that are going to happen. And I'm going to explain how we do that a little bit later. So if we look at a day in the life of a Nextworld application, I just kind of want to walk through the different pieces of it. So it's a no-code platform, meaning that it's not a Java platform or JavaScript platform. It's a no-code platform where business users can approach it, can create their applications. They do that by using different applications within the Nextbot family. That could be an application builder, a report builder, logic blocks, things like that. But at the end of the day, what they're doing is they're creating a blueprint, that second graphic here, a blueprint of how they want to solve the business problem that they're faced with using the platform. So really, there's no code here yet. It's just telling us how you want to use the services that the Nextworld platform surfaces through Nextbot to solve your problem. At a certain point, then you're going to generate. That's the middle graphic here on the slide. And you can, if you have a developer background, you can, this is pretty analogous to a compile. It takes about 30 to 60 seconds. But underneath the covers, what we're doing is we're actually writing the application. And every time you do a generation within the platform, you're actually doing a 100% rewrite. We're generating the code at that point. Today, currently, that code that we're generating is an Angular JavaScript-based client, an iOS client, an Android client, and then on the server side, it's POJO, plain old Java objects. Not only are we generating that code every time you hit generate within the platform through Nextbot, we're also building that code and we're deploying it. So all you need to develop applications is a browser and an internet connection, nothing more. There is no IDE setup or any of that mumbo jumbo. We're generating your code, we're building it, and we're deploying it. And right from the menu that you're on within Nextbot, you hit launch, you look at what you did. If you're me, you've screwed something up, and now you need to go back, make your changes, generate again, wash, rinse, repeat. And what that allows us to do, that architecture, is separate the business requirements and the investment that you've made within the Nextbot platform from the technical components that are actually delivering that content. So as I mentioned today, we are creating an Angular JavaScript client and a POJO server side. We're using a relational database, Postgres if you're interested, for our data tier. And we can change any of those technology components under the covers without impacting anything that has been done through the platform. So as an example, early on, we were pretty enamored with NoSQL, and we had begun our implementation using Mongo as our data tier implementation. And we realized that the transaction support that we needed for our requirements and to hit the design points that we needed to hit, that wasn't going to work very well for us. So we actually, on the platform team, changed out our data tier from Mongo to Postgres under the covers without our app development community. That's customers using it to customize, that's partners using it to create SD solutions like Jeff is going to talk about later, as well as our own app development teams creating core ERP applications. They did not even know that we changed out that data tier, and they didn't care. Because for them, when they hit generate, we took care of that under the covers from soup to nuts. And we do that on the client side as well as the server side. And what that allows us to do is future-proof the investment that our customers, our partners, and our own app development teams are making within the platform from technology changes that are happening in the environment. And those are going to continue to happen. So over the next 10 years, I don't know what the specific changes will be in terms of, say, UI technologies, but I know there will be some. And I'm pretty sure that the most compelling way for us to deliver a UI created through Nextbot by any of those constituents is not going to be an Angular JavaScript client, at the very least, not the version that we're on today. But we don't want our customers worried about that. We're going to worry about it, and we will change the technology that delivers what's been done through our platform in the most compelling way. So we're watching to see what are the technology trends, what's the most compelling way we can deliver the content that our customers, partners, and our own app development teams have created through the platform. And that's how we say, that's how we kind of back up the future-proof aspect of the Nextworld platform. And so when we're looking at the business outcomes that we're really aiming to solve for our customers, it's flipping that ratio that you saw of 80-20 to be the 80 focused on helping the business and being a platform of innovation. So the IT spend is actually predominantly helping the business, helping to differentiate and leveraging technology, not just keeping the lights on. Secondarily, because the platform is a no-code platform and we allow no exceptions to it, meaning at a certain point, many platforms that you might deal with will allow you to hand over code, whether that's Groovy code with, say, an Oracle technology, or if that's an ANSI business function for JD Edwards. When you allow that backdoor and you can inject code into the platform, you no longer can predict what has been done by the app development community, and you can't test for it. And you don't know what that implementation is because it's wide open. You don't allow any exceptions. It is a no-code platform, 100%, zero code. And what that allows us to do is if you make a customization through the platform, we know that when we deliver a patch or we deliver an upgrade, that those customizations will continue to work. And so we've turned the word in term customizations from something that's dirty and is going to continue to cost you resources and effort over time into a sustainable customization model. And then thirdly, by us focusing on the technology and separating out the business implementation from the technical delivery, our customers and our app development community can focus on their business requirements, not focus on the syntax of the particular technologies they need to use. And so they can focus on the business and not feel like they need to become a technology company themselves. And then some of the other capabilities that the platform surfaces, because we wrote it from the ground up in this platform cloud environment. One, sustainable customizations, as I mentioned. Second is integrations. This is very important. Integrations for us is a first-class citizen. Even our own JavaScript client in iOS and Android, when they make a call to the server side, they're actually hitting the same APIs that third parties are going to hit from an integration use case perspective. And we have a stateless architecture, which I could go into separately, more details on that, but that helps us to be able to do this. So integrations are a first-class citizen, and actually integration calls are the only calls that we accept. Automated testing is part of the platform, offered up just like every other feature. Automatic updates, we have 2 major releases a year, and patches as needed, but typically monthly. And then access anywhere, we have a commodity infrastructure that we leverage that allows us to deploy wherever makes sense for our customers' needs around the globe. And then I covered future-proof by explaining how we separated the business requirements out from the technical delivery. And so if we peel apart and look at the platform itself and the different components of it, if we start with the platform at the bottom, what we've done is we have a set of features and functionality that any application might want to use. We expose that through Nextbot on the right side, and Nextbot is a set of tools allowing you to define how you want to use those feature sets within the platform. Service administration, workflow, translations, a directory, messaging, reporting, et cetera, et cetera. We have used the Nextbot application platform in exactly the same manner that our partners and our customers will, to build out the core ERP functionality within financials, procurement, sales, supply chain, manufacturing. That's what we call core ERP. That's part of the platform that can be extended by partners for their industry solutions, such as what you see on the right, the agriculture solution that Nutrax is focused on. There also could be any other partners can deliver other industry solutions such as real estate or education or wholesale distribution or CPG, etc. And so those three pieces really make up the Nextworld Enterprise Resource Platform. Nextbot, which leverages the platform, and then the core ERP functionality. There are 3 slides here in the slide deck, and when this gets sent out later, you can look at these details about some of the features that we built on the already delivered areas that I showed on the last slide. So in 20.3, we really focused our roadmap on top of those delivered areas in terms of GST and VAT taxes, some multi-currency processing, as well as everything you see here, enhancing those areas that we have already delivered and continuing to invest in, both from a platform perspective as well as application content. And then in 2021, from an apps perspective, we have a general theme of globalization and localizations, and then building out and fleshing out the areas that we've delivered, such as manufacturing and inventory financials, job cost, or I think it's listed here as projects, both from, once again, an applications perspective, as well as a platform perspective. So we are heavily investing on both sides so that our customers continue to receive additional value month over month with their subscription to the Nextworld product set. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Mark.
Thanks, Conrad. Yeah, truly great to hear all of the innovation and the design and the way that the platform has been considered from that blank sheet of paper. Truly, as Ed used to say, you know, next level, right? And very, very cool. So let me take you then through some of the considerations then around, you know, the total cost of ownership and the return on investment, because we saw earlier how so much of our IT spend traditionally is getting gobbled up on just basically, you know, keeping the current applications fed and watered. And really the purpose of this is to help us understand why that's fundamentally different with a Nextworld approach. So then, so consider some of your traditional ERP, be it JD Edwards or Dynamics, Great Plains, or others that are out there. They all have this similar type approach. You know, every 3 to 5 years, you've got a CapEx expenditure that you need to plan for to be able to take on and do those upgrades. You've also got the technology side of things. So database, middleware, operating systems, they all have licenses, they all have license fees and, you know, support fees associated with those licenses. Same with the application software. It's got its own license fees and support on a, you know, annual basis to be paid. Then you've got your software upgrades. So, you know, retrofit effort and stuff like that to do against those applications that you might have customized, like you just heard from Conrad, like that lift effort is now gone. Those applications are completely separated from the tech layer and therefore just come forward. The third-party product support and those solutions, I'm going to talk shortly about how you can remove some of those costs as well. The productivity tools that are baked into Nextworld by default, you know, things around security and around automated testing and the likes that really just help you with continuing to have your ERP application product come forward into the future. Infrastructure costs are gone, right? Because that's all bundled up in the SaaS offering. And then the impact of patches and the costs associated with those and the downtime and the impact on your staff. And then consider all the support staff for some of those traditional types of DBA roles, CNC as it might be with JDE, and some of those other techies that you need to be able to manage and run those applications traditionally. And then, you know, conversely, think in terms of what that means in a Nextworld environment. So this is where the the savings come in, right? It is OPEX, so it's SaaS. So you're going to be on a monthly or a quarterly fee, and everything is wrapped up in that cost, right? You've got a fully integrated solution again. You know, for those that have come from a JD Edwards background, that was one of the things we loved about JD Edwards, right? Was it was fully integrated, but now we've got an integrated solution sitting on a common platform, but also with common integration technology and that underpinning of the Nextbot platform as well. Enterprise software support, so the subscriptions all baked in. Same with the software upgrades. Those ability to take the patches as we go through, you know, from time to time patches come. Those things are delivered without a restart. They're delivered while the users are active. The actual upgrades, they're twice a year, and at the moment they're a 2-hour outage. So, you know, there's a very low impact on the business. There's still some automated testing to be run against that to consider your impact, but much lower effort and much lower cost on the business to actually consume those changes coming through. Again, your third-party products, some of those can be reduced or removed because actually you might go and consider what those business processes are and rebake those into the Nextbot platform itself. Because once you've built them once, they're going to come forward with you forever more. Also, similar situation with the productivity tools. Obviously, no more infrastructure, like I said, that's involved, included in the SaaS software. And then, you know, the requirement to support all of those areas that we talked about around the database and technology layers are removed, right? And so your staff support is much more around, you know, the application stuff and being able to, you know, help your user community think about how to improve those business processes and make those changes you need for your system going forward. And I just really want to re-emphasize what Conrad said about, you know, customizations used to be a bad word. In this world, that's no longer the case, right? Because you're no longer having that penalty of having the customizations. You're free now to develop and build your customizations on the platform and have them come forward with you into the future without that penalty and that cost. So let's talk about the Nextbot platform benefits for a second. I'm just keen to take you through some of those. And we'll start with what is no-code. Because, you know, while some of you might be really aware of what no-code is, some aren't. And so, you know, the whole intention of a no-code platform is it allows business analysts or non-programmers to assemble applications with a limited knowledge. It's click and drag GUI interaction that allows you to, you know, assemble applications, put them on a page, and with a limited amount of technical knowledge, be able to actually assemble and get up and running applications quite quickly. You know, we have people who attend our training and they're very impressed with how quickly one of our mini apps could be stood up and run against a set of data sitting back there in tables. So, you know, it removes the need for that deep programming knowledge, and rather can be done by subject matter experts, and business analysts can take on this tool set and actually go and create applications themselves and introduce them to the business. So you now got people who understand the business, understand the industry, are able to create the applications that are going to meet your business needs. Sorry, I clicked the wrong button there. Let's go with this one. So consider the future of you know, where development's been. You know, we've seen much change over the last 30, 40 years. And in more recent history, we've seen that move towards low-code and IDE frameworks. But now, you know, we've entered that age of no-code platform. And like I just said, you know, the ability now for the business analyst and the SME to actually develop an application using a GUI interface and assembling application using that method. So just stepping through it then, rapid development. So literally so much quicker to assemble and define an application, including like a traditional business function, say, to now what's done in a logic block is literally a matter of you know, minutes and hours rather than days and weeks. So time's money, right? No-code applications are abstracted from the technology layer. I've talked about that. So it's really about the ability to go and define your business and the business processes that do differentiate you. Because in the past, as we've talked about other ERP products, the conversation's been, stay vanilla, don't change, because change equals cost, right? But now we don't have that anymore. You can go and define that business process that you need to support your business. It's also a simplified skill set, as we've talked about. BAs and SMEs are able to take this, and the resource availability and reduced costs is significant as well. We've gone through the TCO costs, so I won't recover that, but the maintenance of the ongoing applications, that reduced effort every time that you are trying to bring something forward to a new application set, with those new releases, is really minimized compared to what you'll be experiencing today. And then the last one there is basically the opportunity to replace and put on a common data model all of your Excel spreadsheets, your Visual Basic, and your Access databases. Just think about that for a minute. How many companies talk about the struggle that they have with so many versions of a particular Excel spreadsheet, or maybe it's becoming corrupt on them, or maybe the person that built it and designed it in the first place has now left the building, or a significant risk to the business because of the fact, they get hit by a bus or something similar. So all of those things are able to be dealt with in a no-code platform. You can take the logic that is in that spreadsheet and drop it into a no-code application and manage it in a common data model. That's single source of the truth stuff. That's significant benefit to customers going forward. Right, so just at this point, I'm going to hand over to Jeff Ammerine. Jeff heads up he's Senior Vice President for our product development team, and he's going to talk to us about what NuVerge has been up to around the industry solutions. So over to you, Jeff. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. All righty. Well, first off, I wanted to say that, obviously with everything that's been already built, you're not going to necessarily always just rip and replace ERPs. And so when NuVerge came about, I joined for the reason that I thought that the platform itself would enable us to really hit the industry in a different way, in the industries, I should say, so the sub-verticals. In particular, we wanted to go after a few. So we've devised a product plan to go after these industries to effectively go after what the traditional ERP will probably not tackle, and it hasn't tackled over the last 20-something years. There's always those niche products. Mark had mentioned it, and even Conrad mentioned it, right? That there's items that are always on the edge. We want to solve for that edge, and that's ultimately the last mile. So traditional ERP core products, they're going to do what they do well: the financials, the procurement, the inventory, all those items. But then there's specific things that need to happen for other industries, and that's wine, breweries, agriculture in general, as well as E&C space, you name it, right? We have a lot of different areas where we could tackle with Nextbot technology to allow us to build those micro apps or even full-blown industry apps to solve for those problems. So with that, I want to show you guys, we're going to concentrate a little bit in the wine space today, but let me show you a quick video here. So ultimately, really, I mean, we realize that harvest is kind of running down right now, right? We've got a lot of people. We've actually got a webinar coming up that Tim's going to talk to as a call to action that's coming up on December 16th. So pour a glass and relax, and we'll have a 30-minute webinar to go through more specifics around our agriculture and specifically the wine industry, and we'll do a few more of those. But ultimately, our approach here is to tackle two separate larger families of product lines, and that's in the Agri family of solutions and the E&C family of solutions. So new tracks for agriculture, wine, and breweries. Along with that, we have the professional services, engineering, constructions, and job shop. The idea here is that we build last mile solutions that normally would require integrations or third-party solutions, and we want to build those around this around the core of Nextworld. At the same time, we're also building it so that we can tack into existing ERP systems. So for instance, the blend and grower functionality and all of the edge products that go into a winery can now be plugged into an existing system, whether it be Great Plains, Microsoft Dynamics, JD Edwards, SAP, with a flair of, hey, you should be looking at the Nextworld product as well for your core financial needs in the future. So we can take you on a different phased approach depending on your needs as a customer. So those two family of products are very important, and we're going to be building out the rest. Again, join us in the next webinars to hear more about these. We won't go into great detail here. Our bundled solution ultimately contains everything you see on the screen here from the ground up. Everything is built on NextBot. Nextworld sits as the SaaS enterprise layer for our ERP applications. On top of that is all of the NuTrack's IP and product. That includes test scripts, that includes the data migration scripts, that includes the actual product itself. It includes all the pre-integrations to a lot of the industry specifics. So if you're in the wine space, again, we're going to be pre-integrated to tank.net. We'll be pre-integrated to the e-commerce solutions that are the most common in the industry, whether it be VinSuite or Commerce 7, some of those. If you're in the brewery space, right, we'll be pre-integrated there. On the top of this tier here, we include NuView, which is our analytics and reporting. We have a slide on that in a little bit. And then we also include our NuCare customer support. This is all packaged into a monthly cost with a term, 3-year, 5-year term, so that you're fully supported and you have licenses to all the functionality that are required in the NuVerge bundle. It also, at the bottom of the screen, you see that we're still building out emerging tech. So whether it be blockchain or chatbot technology, all that will surround this because we're building this on a future-proofed platform. Our AIM strategy, which is analytics, reporting, and integration, ultimately covers how we're getting data in and out of the system. Even though we do want more things to sit within the NextBot platform, we realize you're not going to convert everything right away. And you're going to need a way to get data in and out of the system because integrations are first-class citizens, is what Conrad had just mentioned. It also allows us to quickly get to the data. So we've developed a tool to allow us to push things to Microsoft BI, Tableau, all the other mainstream technologies that your company may already have. In the same sentence, we can also pull data back the other direction and integrate back in and quickly migrate data in and out of those API layers. Everything is REST-based, it's easy to access, and we can actually create solutions very quickly. So our promise, ultimately, the NuVerge promise is one thing, is that we want to come in and solve for you a business problem. It might be bid management. It might be a lightweight CRM. It may be something else that you have Excel or Access databases that are continually causing you guys grief in the marketplace and in your companies. We want to make that promise to you that we can turn around a business solution within 8 weeks. We want to bring that solution with NextBot and solve that and have an application that you can go live with. So we want to keep it simple. At the same time, we want to solve for big things. We've actually seen this. A lot of people talk about how fast no code really can be. I'm seeing it firsthand. Our team is developing the industry solutions at a rapid pace. And some of those that have already seen this on this particular call can attest to how quickly we're developing the latest technologies. So with that, there's the NuVerge promise. We hope you guys take us up on it. We want to come solve some problems for you. So with that, I want to hand over to Tim Scott, who is our SVP of Professional Services.
All right, thank you, Jeff. So yeah, so one of the things that we want to talk about is obviously the technology is amazing, the platform is amazing, but we want to give you a real life case study on a customer who's recently been implemented and is production live and has has put out some press with us. So let me talk a little bit about the Exeter case study. There we go. So yeah, it's a little bit about Exeter. So Exeter Finance is based in Irving, Texas. They were founded in 2006. In 2011, they became a part of the Blackstone Group, which I think most people would know is the largest investment company in the world. In 2016, they came out with a large portfolio evaluation. So really turn the tables on how they go to market. So one of the things that we step back into with this case study is where did it all begin? And it began with an RFP process that they put out in April of 2019, sent to 3 of the largest ERP vendors in the market. Exeter did not like any of their solutions. And these are all players that you know And so what they looked to was, another alternative solution, and that's where they reached out and chose Nextworld based on functionality, also based on culture. So a big part of this was, they wanted to have a future-proof solution, because the driver for the RFP process was the fact that they were going to be asked to get off their current Microsoft Great Plains solutions. So they had a burning platform. They needed to look at other vendors. And when they looked across the marketplace, they really realized that, for even a company of their size, they did not want to have to worry about that problem again down the road. So they were focused on culture. They were focused on partnerships. They were focused on, superior technologies and platforms. So the footprint that we implemented, we started this project about a year ago, was across all their accounting solutions. So general ledger, accounts payable, cash management. So, positive pay, ACH, BII, fixed assets, job cost. One of the things that Exeter was really driven by was the fact that they actually are a very large software development shop themselves. They build a lot of internal solutions. They wanted the Nextbot platform to be a part of that future solution. And they wanted to look at a way to save and optimize their spend across, the construction and process, through the fixed asset, through the capitalization process. All that was being done manually. The other part of what they really liked about Nextworld was the ability for us to bring solutions that removed third-party solutions. So in their Microsoft Great Plains environment, they had solutions around Macorma for check printing, Zevis for payments, wire cards for payments. They were able to displace all of those third-party solutions without integration, just natively with Nextworld. And so that was a big part of their draw towards NuVerge and Nextworld together. Though we started the project on site, as COVID does, we were able to do 100% of this project when it came to testing, rollout, and delivery, 100% remote and 100% productive. And so obviously that comes with what customers would expect in a SaaS, environment, is that you don't really always need to have the consulting team on site. You should be able to do these things remotely. And though, yeah, sometimes there are optimal times to have people there, we really didn't need to do that to go live. Didn't need to do that through their parallel testing, and we didn't need it to do, their full cut over to production. So, we have some press and some quotes here from Ed Lamb, who was our executive sponsor, the chief accounting officer, about how he was really looking to the future. It wasn't just about a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan. He's thinking about the next 20, 30, 40 years. And that was a big part of why they selected this, this product, this platform, this team. And then really what we're looking for moving forward with Exeter is they've got hundreds of different applications that they could use the Nextbot platform to extend. And so they are looking through and we're working on design and requirements with them on the future of how to build out and extend not just their core Nextworld, but how to replace a lot of legacy solutions today. One last note on this is, as large companies do, back to integration as a first-class citizen, we implemented and integrated with Workday, with Coupa, and with several other applications. And again, that's a big part of every customer's ask, is how easy and how well can a SaaS solution implement and integrate. And that was a big part of the case study as well. All right. So next steps. So we talked a lot, the team today talked a lot about the, accelerated enablement, meaning when you're implementing this product and this solution in this marketplace, cost and time are very important. So we are very focused on making sure that we have an accelerated enablement for the core solutions, the extensibility of the solution, and then being able to, make sure we take you to your future goal. We talked about analytics, reporting, the capabilities within the products and how to extend them. And really the NuVerge promise is a part of that. We are able to come in and help you identify some key pain points, some big business problems, and then find a way to optimize and automate what those solutions need to be. And then lastly, we are really trying to figure out with our customers and our prospects and our partners, how to best leverage for them, how those industry solutions should be extended. So we quickly build out for our industries, but there's always going to be some additional vertical segments and so on that we can work with customers and partners on to extend out and use the platform Because again, in a SaaS-based model, traditionally that was not an option, and that's a big differentiator for our platform and our solutions, is the ability to extend core product and also extend what you do for as a company who does, you know, whatever you do in your verticals. So call to action, we have 3 things we really want to talk about, which is, again, we offer that we would come in for 5 days and do a consulting assessment, total cost of ownership, return on investment. And what we've seen over and over with this is that every customer has got either a pending upgrade, or they've got a platform that they need to evaluate, both business and IT. And we will help come in and evaluate that with you and put together a true TCO on how Nextworld can be your next step in your future platform. So we come in and offer that up. So here's a link to how we can get that conversation started. We already talked about the NuVerge Promise, which is, again, 8-week assessment to build and automate a component within your environment and within your company. And we would be able to do that through an assessment phase, and then through a development phase, and then through a deployment phase. And once we do that, a big part of the NuVerge Promise is that we're obviously transferring knowledge to you. So your business analysts and your IT staff will work with us, so that when we walk out the door, then you know how to continue to build with us. So that's a big part of the NuVerge Promise, isn't that we just build it and walk away. It's actually to get your team involved with us in that exercise. And we have 3 future webinars. As Jeff said, the New Tracks for Wine is coming up on the 16th of December. So please, again, we encourage you to pour a glass and relax with us. We're going to do one on subprime loan companies and financial services on the 20th of January. And then the agribusiness one will be our webinar in February. So we have several others coming up beyond that, but we want to promote the first 3 coming up. So please mark these dates, and we will send out additional reminders through LinkedIn and other marketing avenues as well. So with that, I'm going to hand back over to Bill Hilton for questions and answers.
Yes, thanks, Tim. And don't go very far at all, because I think the first couple of questions are going to be for you. We did get 3 or 4 questions in. Reminder, if people still have questions, if you can go ahead and type those in, it'd be appreciated. But the first question, Tim, is how does the implementation of Nextworld compare to other premise ERP solutions?
Sure.
You talked a little bit about Exeter, but if you could expand on that a bit, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Yeah, so doing 25 years of implementations with on-premise, and even what we call hosted ERP, which is really a lot of what our competitors are, which is not actually any different than on-premise. It's isolated tenancy, meaning that you're not truly implementing a SaaS-based product like Nextworld. The biggest change is the fact that we have to accelerate the model, and we have to make the cost paramount, meaning that before we even get into the project or even into the implementation, we've gone through questionnaires, we know your process flows, we understand what you do for a living, and we get started well before you actually even start the project. And that way we can really focus on a 10 to 12 week implementation of a financials package. On premise, that never happened. You did all that discovery, that define and design after the sales of the product, and that would extend you 3, 4, 6 months before you really started. More importantly, because Nextworld is true multi-tenant SaaS, is we're always getting the latest and greatest capabilities even while we're implementing. So we don't have to wait 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. We don't have to do a big tools release or application release. Conrad has already talked, we can take functionality on at any time, and as we implement, that accelerates anything that we run into, whether it's a feature or a function or even an issue, a bug or gap, we can adopt it immediately. So we don't get blockage like you get in a traditional implementation because of the fact that we're moving on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. So we really do focus on cost, accelerated measures and methodology, and really the NuVerge approach is to get you going as quickly as possible on the subscription that you pay for immediately.
Okay, thanks, Tim. I think this other one, either you or Conrad can answer. I'll let you decide, Tim, on how you want to handle it. But what integration technology does Nextworld use?
Well, I'll start, and then Conrad can keep me honest. So because it is such an open platform, one of the biggest issues that we always had with other SaaS solutions or with other vendors was what's published, what's available. Meaning that if it's a file-based implement or integration, or if it's a web service-based integration, you really were at the mercy of what the product delivered to you. Nextworld has published it all. So whether it's web-based or API-based, or whether it's file-based, we have pretty much 100% access to the integration, with or without middleware. And so for us, again, at Exeter, we didn't have much need for real-time integration. So a lot of it was file-based. So we were able to map and create the integrations, data imports, data exports. We were able to use the job composition functionality to schedule those every 10 minutes, every hour, every day. And so we were able to address all the integration needs without the need of a middleware. So, and I don't know if Conrad has additional feedback on that.
Just to kind of summarize, from a real-time perspective, real-time integrations, every object that is created within the Nextbot platform through the Nextbot toolset on the Nextworld platform generates a REST endpoint. So when you create a logic block or an application or a table or whatever it might be, under the covers, part of that generation process, we're creating those REST endpoints natively. Those endpoints are then used by our own clients to call into the server side. They're also available for integration calls. So that's from a real-time perspective. And then as Tim mentioned, from an asynchronous or batch perspective, we have import, export job, the job composer functionality that Tim described. So those are the two main flavors.
Okay, thanks, Conrad. I think this next one's for you, Conrad. I think you're probably the best one to answer this, but does Nextworld's automated testing functionality come included with the software, and how does it work?
We go through and get into some details on the platform. You're going to, if it's me, or it doesn't matter who's the one talking to you about it, everything is an app to us. So the automated testing is actually a Nextworld application where you define how you want to test your application. And it is part of the platform. It is included. It's surfaced through Nextbot. It is also no code. And it really ties into the metadata layer. So it's not, as I like to refer to some automated testing tools, right on the surface, like a water bug on top of the water. And if anything changes, it breaks. The automated testing tool is tied a little bit lower into the metadata layer, but it is surfaced for use by the same type of non-professional developer skill set through our no-code Nextbot toolset.
Okay, great. I don't have any other questions. Mark, is there anything else you wanted to cover before we wrap up? Mark Kelly?
I think we've covered it off. I thank you, everybody, for joining today and taking the time out of your day to come and be part of this. I hope you found some good information there. We will have the link available afterwards to this presentation for you to be able to watch it or pass it on to team members and stuff after the fact. And if you'd like to have a call set up to discuss this further, we'd love to do that with you too. So I appreciate you joining today. Bill, anything else you wanted to close with?
Nope. I was just going to pretty much say the same thing. We appreciate everybody joining, and don't forget to sign up for those upcoming webinars. And thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Have a great evening.
Thank you.